certain risk factor in it, and once it exceeds the risk factor, and all this is on the CDC website, so this is not like me pandering to propaganda. Um, but they do it for good reason.
Okay.
It's like one person dies to save 50 billion. You know what I'm saying? In the future.
What you ever? So you're saying they say that they do this?
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it controlled releases.
Can you show me? Give a link to this.
It's on their website. Yeah.
Uh.
So like the last one. Now they didn't take credit for the COVID one,
Mhm.
but we know that they were studying the coronavirus.
Mhm.
Um, you know, in multiple sites, and then of course they do like a host country or host area where they control release
Mhm.
these things, and then they once it circulates to the population, then they find a vaccine for it um, after it mutates, because nothing in a laboratory can really technically mutate. It's not exposed to 100% elemental factors, but they control these studies.
Mhm.
Are you on the CDC website, Center for Disease Control? Because that's an international operation.
No, but I wanted to show you. We'll take a look at it. But this is the world population in the past couple of years. Can you see it? Can you see it on my share? I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it? Are you?
Wait,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can see it. Okay, yeah, 7.95 1 billion 2022, and then of course we have a 2% growth increase factor multiplier, and currently I think it's what 80 million people born every year now.
It doesn't matter. The point is that there's no indication that we had. I'm gonna say shmandemic in order to not get this YouTube video taken
Yeah, yeah,
down. They take it down. Like if you mention it, they still
yeah.
identify it.
I get it.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I get it. I get it.
Okay, so I mean that's just
I'll try to use code language then as
yeah.
well.
Let's call it
So during
the shmandemic.
C19
Mhm,
pandemic,
mhm.
um, there was a controlled release,
But you
and I
see,
think the
but
controlled
but what you see,
release got
but look, what I'm trying to
leaked.
show is the line of the Earth population, and it doesn't look like anything happened. Like you look at the year 2019, which is just before 2020. I don't think there's any indication that anything happened. Just I don't see anything. Let me. Mm,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
here is and here I don't know. Is it streaming? I don't know. Uh,
it is. I can see
question is
point.
because I'm streaming it to YouTube. I don't know if the YouTube stream is getting updated. I don't know how this works. Let me check. Where's my channel? Let me go to my channel.
What the hell are you guys talking about?
We're talking about the population of the planet. Do you know the planet?
The population of the planet? Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so
planet
it's
Earth.
yeah.
It's a
That's
nice place, no?
the population. The population is
So you think there was an overestimation
no.
of
I don't.
mortality rate?
I don't think anything ever happened. You look at 2019. Um,
Are you on drugs, my friend?
How would I mean the population? There's no indication, but this is the change. So 2019 is just before. mm, oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it looks it's getting updated. It's fine. So 2019 is just before
Yeah,
2020. What can we say about it? World is the blue.
yeah,
So they say, I mean, there was like in the 1960s, 70s, and then it started dropping. The
yeah,
change. It used to grow by 2% per year, and then 1.5, and then uh we're basically zero point 0.7. We're still growing. The
yeah.
growth, you could say the growth in the last year slowed down, but nothing changed. You don't. There's no sudden change. There's no sudden
Well,
change
and
in.
again, I mean, this would be. I mean, you're talking about, um, you know, 0.05% mortality rate of total population.
My point is, there's still growth. It's not like you'd expect
Yeah.
2019. You'd expect a drop. You'd expect to see it jumping over to the negative zone. We're bottoming at zero.
No,
What do you mean no? Why? I mean,
no,
if you have a
I don't think so.
but if you have a shmandemic,
I mean,
a shmandemic means you have more people dying than like you have a lot of people dying. Like in Europe, the European like in the Black Death, we lost like 2/3 of Europe or something. The population was,
yeah, but Africa population grew.
but
African population
but they
grew.
had they had the shmandemic too. Everyone had the shmandemic. So you see that it didn't.
No,
No,
no.
what do you mean? Why would they have?
It's the bubonic plague um,
No, I'm saying
did not affect.
no. I'm saying small small. How would we call it? The
The
schmo
Schmeg,
the schmobig.
the
The schmo. Let's
Dark
call it
Age Schmeg.
no. The schmobig. The schmobig. The schkov. The schkovid. No, we can't say that. They're gonna kill us.
God Almighty, I have no idea.
So the
But I
2019.
thought you were talking about the bubonic.
Let's talk about years. The 2019 Schmandemic.
Yo, guys, what's up, man?
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
Belky.
What's up, homie?
Belky. Is that your
Wait, what the
picture?
fuck is this, man?
Is that really your
What
profile
the fuck is
picture?
this, man?
What's one? We're discussing the Schmandemic. Do you believe in the Schmandemic?
You are disgusting. What?
We're discussing the 2019 Schmandemic.
Okay, you're disgusting. Okay,
You believe in
sorry,
the
homie. What?
anyway.
Us? What?
So what I would say we should have seen during 2019. We should have seen the
What is this
population
shit,
change go negative. It should have gone negative. It
bro?
can't.
What is this, man?
What's the question,
Figurative? What?
Valky? We're having a
Yeah,
discussion.
the
What
blue
is this shit?
Valky,
down. Yeah.
Valky, do you want to join the discussion or you don't? You don't have to, but
Yes, I want to join. Yes. Why is it like negative?
I'm gonna have to mute you if you don't behave, man.
Oh, sorry, bro. I mean negative. Sorry,
Okay, come on,
bro. I'm.
one more
My
chance.
brain just dropped like the N word to me, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah,
Sorry,
just
sorry, bro.
do you want to be part
Okay.
of this conversation or you don't
Yes.
have
Can
to?
you explain?
Sure, sure. So my
Yes, yes,
claim is
explain.
that the shmendemic never happened because you
What is this, bro?
what
What?
the shmendemic, the 2019 shmendemic that shall not be named because otherwise, because we're on YouTube, I'm streaming this on YouTube and YouTube will take us down. because they already took down videos where I said the name, so we don't say the name. So my claim is that the shmandemic never happened. There was never a shmandemic in 2019 because here is the change, the annual change in population, world population. There's no sudden change from positive growth to negative growth. It's it's on the trajectory is not really changing. You could say that the trajectory is negative. The growth is slowing down, slowing down. Oh, okay, how are you? Okay, you know they muted me. The server muted me. Did you know that? I don't think I did anything wrong. Oh, she's gone. So my point being is that this is when you look at the change in the world population, it's positive, it's positive, it's growing slower and slower, but in 2019 it didn't jump to the negative range. It didn't suddenly, oh, we're losing people. We're never losing. We're just growing just a little bit slower, but it's a smooth line. There's no sudden changes. So there's no, it never happened. Nothing ever happened. Ever.
How far would it have to dip? Because it looks like it's going below the cap line.
Yeah, but that's
So if you
now.
look at,
That's 20.
well, wait a minute. Okay, so
Mhm,
this is how graphs work,
mhm.
and so you have the projection line higher than the actual. So the actual is dipping below the projection, correct? So that indicates that there is a significant change. I mean, you don't see it. You want it to go like straight down. If it went straight down, the world would have exploded
No,
into tiny little.
no. I expect.
Hello, Uncle Roger.
Hello, sir. I expect.
The world
Uh,
would have exploded.
wait. Stop. You see the blue line, right?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, man? I'm back, bro. I'm doing back, bro.
Oh, nice. Hey, what's up?
You're doing back?
Hey, what's up, man?
Like
Going up or down?
back day?
You back?
Wait.
Question
Pull
mark?
down,
I did like
rows.
I did legs, man.
Nice.
All right, guys. If you want to have a conversation that's not here we're having a discussion about the shmandemic of the 2019. So, if you,
Mm.
yeah, you can.
Could you
Uh,
elaborate?
You're welcome to join, but if you make too much noise, I'm gonna have to mute you. So this is not the place.
We actually
Oh, I
joined here,
think
Mr. Slave, specifically to have a conversation with you, so there should be no problem. Like,
yeah.
Okay,
more
okay.
of us joined here
Mhm.
specifically to talk to you. Like, we had full intention to have a conversation with you.
100%, yes. I can speak for my colleague here,
Yeah,
and
like
tell you
literally
that
all of us that just joined. Like, we all want to talk to you right now. So,
Yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah,
up?
yeah.
You're the colleague, yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
I'm
so
supporting this.
my point is that the shmandemic of the 2019 it never happened, and that's it. And they knew this.
Yes,
They knew this as it
it's
was
free, man.
Oh,
as it was quote unquote happening. They knew that nothing is.
mm.
It was all
Mhm.
fake.
Can I refute that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't. How
Because personally, I had
How-
COVID. I had COVID 3 times,
Okay.
and I can tell you right now,
No,
it
you
was
had the
real.
flu 3 times. Am I right,
I
Mr.
had the
Slave?
flu 3 times,
No.
despite the fact that I went to the first time I got COVID. Right, I went to urgent care, and they tested for almost every viral infection.
Mhm.
The majority, because it was flu season around that time, so they tested for bronchitis, the flu.
Mhm.
I believe there was a couple other ones I can't quite remember the names of. I think one of them was like the
Shmandemics.
rhinovirus.
Super good
Yo, what's up?
stuff.
I'm back, bro.
And so they tested for a lot of viral diseases, viral illnesses, excuse me, and
Uh-huh.
not a single one of them came back positive. They did not know what I had. It was not on their tests. So if I didn't have the flu because of urgent care and the proof from urgent care, then what did I have? Because I'm pretty sure it was COVID, and then I later got tested with the COVID kit, and it tested positive. So I did have COVID.
Don't deny.
is COVID a viral flu virus? Does anybody know the answer to that?
It's a virus.
It
A
is. It's
viral
a
flu virus?
respiratory flu virus.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a
Uh,
respiratory virus, but it's not.
It
It's
is the flu
similar to
virus.
the flu, but it isn't the flu.
It
That's
is
call
okay.
it
So, like the
call it the
bubonic
flu is
plague,
wrong.
the
Yeah,
bubonic
uh-huh.
plague was multiple bacterial. It wasn't just one. The Black Plague. I mean, we all understand that you can have
Black.
multiple infections at one time, and so
Uh-huh.
it's an and or thing. And so the flu and a type of
Uh-huh.
viral corona, um, you know, living little single cellular thing are identical.
Yeah.
They have
You're
they have
identical.
different genetic makeup, and they're a different species, but they are the flu.
Yeah. I'm not
We just
denying.
call it the coronavirus
I'm
today, but they called it the king's flu
I'm not
in the day because it looked like it had a crown.
I'm not denying
Well,
that the virus exists. I'm just questioning the term shmandemic. Shmandemic means
Okay.
Sure, yeah, it's perfectly okay to have questions about labeling it a pandemic, and we can say pandemic. We don't have to say pandemic. It's a little childish, in my opinion.
The
We're talking
fake
He's
about a
on
demic.
serious
YouTube.
subject,
yeah.
He's on
and
YouTube.
people
I'm on,
died.
I'm on
Okay, people died from a virus that was labeled a pandemic. I believe we should treat it with at least some respect.
That's
I mean,
this is your
Yeah,
part
and
right now.
as we know,
and
China lied, right? So that's
and
why people died, right, guys?
They already took
Man,
down,
shut the fuck up, man.
they already took down
Thank you.
videos where
Valky can get muted. You can mute.
so,
Only one is speaking,
Valky's
guys.
just a
so
troll.
just say shmandemic
Valky's just a troll.
or
You
yeah,
can
stop
mute that guy.
interrupting people.
Only one person is speaking, guys.
Yeah, stop interrupting people.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
go ahead
call
and
it what it
mute.
was.
I don't know why you're
He was
continuing to
trolling in our
interrupt
call
people.
too, Mr. Slave. He was trolling in our call too. There you go.
thing.
Okay. Anyway, what were you saying?
I'm saying my video, I had a video where I said that word. They took it down. So I don't want my videos to be taken down. Because,
Oh, are you filming right now?
yeah,
Oh, that's
this is on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hi
If you
YouTube.
do that, I would like to hear
Hi
that.
YouTube.
So it's better to say
I
something.
was kind of hoping you would say hi.
Say whatever. Just don't say the actual words because these guys.
Okay. So the illness that was going around, and I do think that it is a sensitive topic. We should treat it with at least a little bit of respect.
What do you mean it's a sensitive
And
topic?
so the thing is
Wait.
that
Wait.
you know
What do you mean?
my
Wait.
mother also got COVID, and
What do you mean it's a sensitive topic? What do you mean it's a sensitive topic?
I mean it's a topic about an illness that killed people. I mean, you can question whether or not it should have been labeled what it was, but it ultimately it killed people, and so it should be at least a little. We should at least be a little bit respectful
Hey,
because people.
he's right. He's
Wait,
right. We
what
should
do
be respectful when a flu kills someone.
What do you mean?
Right,
I mean,
guys?
What do you mean respectful? I don't.
I'm just saying is that if
There's-
people like, I'm just saying if you died, right, you would want people to be at least a little bit respectful
Well-
regarding the topic.
Well,
wouldn't
like
you?
if we were talking about like the common cold or like the Black Death or something, you would want to be respectful because there are a small, albeit extremely little, small percentage of people, but still percentage of people that are affected by this
I mean,
permanent
the
damage.
Black Death
death.
killed 3 million people all across Europe. So
Well, I was referencing like COVID with that last bit there. But yeah, the Black Death, like if you were talking about like the Black Death, which is what everyone thinks it is, which is what everyone thinks COVID was. It's like the fucking craziest illness. It just almost killed the whole planet. It's like, bro, you know what I mean? It's not quite that level, right?
yeah,
but there
sure,
are
it
people
isn't
that are
quite that
affected by
level.
it. There are people that are affected by it, and yeah,
don't
you
understand.
be a little
I
sensitive.
don't. Okay, so you asked me if I would die, I would want people to be respectful and sensitive. The answer is absolutely not. I expect people to be scientific.
Okay.
Period. If they're respectful or whatever.
Sure,
if they're-
scientific, but
no,
being
no,
scientific,
no,
I
but-
mean, it also includes
no,
being respectful. I would say.
no, but scientific. Period. No, but you say but, get out of my life. I don't.
Well,
want you in
if
my
we
life.
were talking about like, I don't know, like how Jews were treated in the Auschwitz
Scientific.
camps, I mean, like you would obviously use a little bit of like, I don't know, like humility
bit of
when having
seriousness,
that conversation.
Nope.
You know, a little bit of empathy.
Nope. Pure science. Nothing else. Pure science. Nothing else.
So when having a conversation about Auschwitz, you'd be talking about science.
Ostrich?
Auschwitz. I said it right the first time.
Oh, I mean, the conversation should always be scientific, factual. State the facts.
It should be.
Okay,
But
okay. I'll
ultimately-
take this as good faith. I'll take this as good faith. Continue.
What?
You're fine.
What do you mean you'll take it as good faith?
Sorry.
I don't even know what you just said.
Well, like I trust that what you're saying is true, and that
What?
you're just going to use purely science and not have any empathetic or any emotion or anything towards the subject, and just purely scientific.
Look,
Right, looking at the data.
Look,
Right.
I'll tell you like this. It's either you're being scientific or you're lying. So if you're lying, I'm not interested in whatever you have to say. And if you're scientific, then speak. I'm listening. I don't know what you
Wait, so everything that you're saying must be the truth, then, right? Is that what you're saying?
scientific. Yeah, I try. Yeah, I aim for truth, but
So everything
You
you
know,
say
you
is
can be
true.
scientific while showing a
matter
little bit of
what.
respect on a serious topic. I mean, there was seriousness and respect when we were talking about 9/11 and the seriousness of that disaster when we were analyzing it. I would go to reckon. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that this is the same level of such a serious terror attack on the United States. I'm just saying is that it's still a sensitive subject, and if we can show empathy and kindness for people who died and on the seriousness of the topic, then I think we could show that a little bit here,
And
because people
and
did
for
die.
people who are affected, obviously, no one's in the call that have died from COVID. But there
Yes,
are people
obviously.
here
No,
who have
I
had
died of
family
COVID.
members or whatever friends that have been affected by it, whether they have passed away or have permanent side effects. Right.
Yeah, I had COVID 3 times and it kicked my ass all 3, and so
were you immune?
it's
Yeah, but you're
just
still here.
Were
Yeah,
you
but you're still here. So
Were you immunocompromised?
yeah, but still, it's still, it was
yeah,
still
how
a
do you
more
get
serious
it
version.
3 times? Like, that's just either you're licking doorknobs, or like you have just a shitty immune system. I don't know what to say.
Oh, my mom is a nurse, and she works in hospice. And now, yeah,
Now it all makes
now
sense.
normally they're not supposed to have patients with COVID, but the hospital during the crisis was running low on beds, so they transferred some people to the hospice house who had COVID. And so yeah, that's how I got COVID.
Okay,
3
so the
times.
shmandemic. Sorry, baloney. Okay, so shmendemic. What's your argument here for like the whole thing? Like you it seems
I
like
mean-
you wanna say something here, Mr. Slave.
Yeah, my point is,
So the thing is that
when you look at the
sorry.
world,
If we look at
yeah, the graph in front of you, I'm displaying the world,
Okay.
the change in the world population, and you look at the trend, and you don't see any change in trend during the so-called, the years of the shmandemic. There's no change in trend. If anything, the trend is it went lower. It's currently aiming even like it's dipping. The trajectory direction is changing even now. So I mean, you'd expect the 2019 to be in negative territory, and it never went negative.
Mm,
Negative territory in regards to what?
Well,
I mean, if
change.
we're talking
like
economics, then
birth rates.
obviously.
Change.
Annual change, so like birth rates versus deaths.
Well, it's the annual change.
I mean, yeah,
It's many things, but yeah, I guess it's the net change. So you'd expect a shmandemic to reduce the population. Reduction means negative. It has to be negative. I would expect it to be, very negative. But as you can see, it never changed. Not only did it not go negative, it never changed. There's no indication of any change.
That's just false.
I'm reading here, so I just did a quick Google search. This again, schmoogle, rice, all this shit's probably fake anyway. But it says here 7 million people have died,
I'm not
right? And that's over the course of all of
I'm not
COVID.
denying that, but why do we
And
not?
then I'm gonna do like annual birth rates.
So why can't I
Wait,
see it on
why are
the
you
graph?
expecting a change from a pandemic? What's the
also,
link
why are
between it?
you okay?
What
So
did-
not to
Yeah,
mention,
you're saying you
when
want a
you
change in world population size. Why?
what's
Okay, can I add something, guys, real quick?
Mhm.
When you use
So-
statistics from 2019, it's a little in bad faith, as the pandemic, or sorry, the shmandemic didn't really
Shmandemic.
take off until early 2020 to mid 2020. So if we want an accurate statistics of birth rates or the decline of population and whatnot, I would reckon that we would use 2020 or 2021 statistics. Actually, just let's look at them both. Let's look at both 2020 and 2021 statistics to see if there was a fall off. You know what? Let's do 3 years: 2019, 2020, and 21. The first 3 years of the shmandemic, where 2019 majority of the year was business as usual. 2020 we were right in the middle of it, and then 2021 we were kind of going out of it. So if we want to look at the rise and fall of statistics, I would say that those 3 years of data points would be perfect for this.
Hold on. All right, so I did some Google search. We agreed, like, okay, the 7 million number, pretty big number, but like I'm looking here, like the number of people born each year is 140 million. So I'm just curious how a metric such little as 7 million over the course of what, 5 years is really going to even make a dent in a 140 million yearly birth rate. Like, genuinely, like, how are you supposed to see that on a fucking graph? Like, literally combining the two, it would be the metric, the difference would be so little because there's so many people being born. It's literally, the data's pointless. It'd be stupid to measure it by that.
So whose side are you taking?
What do you mean, Mr. Slave? I mean, you want to attack what I just said here? I mean, I'm using my brain here, and I'm just piecing these things together. Like, I don't know everything. I'm not God Emperor, like I don't know everything. So I'm just doing some research, and I see here 7 million people died over like 5 years, and 140 million people are born each year. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna be able to see that on a graph very well. Just my opinion. I don't know. What do you think about that?
So whose side are you taking
If I
in this
may.
debate?
Well, hold on.
Oh,
Before we get
gonna
into sides and whatnot,
like attack the I'm just asking a genuine question, Mr. Slave. Like, how are you supposed to see that on a graph? Like 7 million
That's what
people,
I'm
5
asking.
years versus
taking-
140 million per year.
You're taking my side.
But
That's
you aren't.
exactly the point I'm making.
It's not going to be on any graph, is the answer.
But that's my point. So what kind of a shmandemic is it? Shmandemic that cannot be seen.
the thing is though,
Wait.
Mr. Slave, is that the 7 million,
7 billion, 7
right,
billion.
is
7 billion, 7
disproportionate
billion.
to, and by definition, like, I know that we can hate government bureaucracy. In fact, I don't like bureaucracy myself, but according to the World Health Organization, it was labeled as shmandemic for a reason, and it was. Yeah, the World Health Organization listed.
The shmandemic.
Yeah, it listed it as a shmandemic for a reason.
Can you send me a link to that?
You might be thinking about the World Health Organization.
Really, the
differently.
World Health
Yeah.
Organization did declare it as a shmandemic, but I will say it was classified by scientists as a shmandemic far before the WHO classified it as well. To make an illness to
The
make
green
an
of
illness
the
a shmandemic,
WSO would have granted it, but I don't have any evidence that the
the
WHO.
only thing that makes an illness a shmandemic would be to spread to multiple territories and still like spread. That's it.
And
That's all it
not
has
to
to do.
mention, it would also require it to be able to be spread very easily, which COVID was. I mean,
Yeah.
the flu is spread very easily, and technically speaking, if we wanted to
Wait,
get into the
let's call it
technicalities
schmo-
of it,
let's-
we have a shmandemic every
call it
year of the
schmovid.
flu, right?
Let's call it schmo.
Oh, okay. So Mr. Slave, so you agree that it was a shmandemic?
They gave it a contact factor of 9, right? Which is very high. So one person can spread to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, there's also a couple of. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, look.
No, go ahead.
They say the Black Plague was a pandemic, so that reduced the population of Europe by 2/3 or something.
So this is why I think it's really like silly and immature that you're using the incorrect prefix, because this is where it's actually going to be relevant. The Black Plague wasn't a pandemic; it was an epidemic.
And even then, it's an unfair metric to compare it to, because obviously we know that Schmovid wasn't anywhere near the Black Death levels of horrendous and deadly. Or
if it was, there's an argument to say, like, if COVID was, like,
Yeah,
it probably
it would be
wouldn't have
labeled an
spread nearly
epidemic.
as much. it wouldn't have been really a pandemic. Yeah, it would kill the
And
people, it would kill the coasts, and that would be it. It
Yeah.
wouldn't live long enough to spread.
Our higher race, our higher population loss. Pandemics are lower.
Shmandemics, you mean?
Pandemics.
Yeah. So you
and not to mention, I mean,
Paramount versus Terramount. Like something is the same size as a mountain versus larger than a mountain. It's
Also, when
semantic.
you account for how long the Black Death,
and plus,
How
not
long
to
you-
mention comparing, like, I think where this guy was going is comparing the Black Death to Morbid is like comparing a mountain to an anthill. I mean, we're talking about a an illness that wiped out a third of a continent, and here we're talking about an illness that wiped out what, millions of people. I mean, there's obviously there's differences, and if it's considered, honestly, I trust the World Health Organization. I trust them pretty good. You know, as I said, my mom's a nurse, so I'm very, I guess I would say, very trusting in our medical professionals. And if they call it a shmendemic, then I believe it is a shmendemic, and I think that that's important to not lose sight of the fact that it is, you know, it was labeled, and it is a pandemic. Or sorry, a shmendemic. Excuse me, I have a hard time. And so, and still going on. We're in an endemic phase right now. I believe that's the right term. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're in the endemic phase of the infection right now. But even then, that's still,
Yeah, virtually everyone's immune. Either they've had the virus and have built antibodies,
it.
or they've been vaccinated. Sometimes up to 3 times, 4 times. Yeah,
Mhm.
like it's something like
There was one dude that got
over
vaccinated at, like,
90%.
45.
I want to say 94% of like first world is like completely immune, totally immune. Now obviously COVID still ravages third world areas and
Oh yeah,
impoverished
absolutely.
places.
Just like,
They were able to get some vaccines out and help some of the population, but like not all of the population is immune to the virus. And yeah, so that's pretty unfortunate.
yeah, it is, and I would go to say that a good reason that that it's in the endemic phase, similar to how measles and the mumps worked, was, you know, the the global leaders came together to solve a crisis, and we solved it in a fairly fast manner of time, because if we didn't act too
baloney.
fast, this could have turned into something like an
Baloney.
epidemic,
Here's
such
the
as
problem.
Ebola.
Here's the problem.
Mhm.
It's got a loose end, man. Like I said, COVID is still being spread in third world countries.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
as soon as it mutates,
you mean Schmovid?
all of our
Why
immune
we got
antibodies,
mutated
all of
instead?
our vaccines are all completely pointless, and it's just gonna ravage the whole world again.
Yeah,
back
that's
to
why they're
you got
making up.
mutated
That's why they're
evolution.
making new vaccines. You know, that's why they're coming up with research to make
They
new
can't
vaccines.
make new vaccines for viral that doesn't exist yet. When it mutates and then starts infecting people, then they can start thinking about making a vaccine for it.
I think
They
How
can't
old do you
make it
think
ahead of time, bro.
virus is? How old?
I remember we had the Omicron variant not too long ago, and
Do you
and
remember
they worked really
time
fast on that. I mean,
discovered? Do you remember the first time and the reason why it's called the corona virus, which means crown in Spanish? Like Corona, the beer, means crown.
stop.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Do you know?
You're playing with fire. They're gonna take the video down. So say something else. Say
Oh,
Schmorona.
Schmarona is from the Schmating Schmundritz, and it's discovered by somebody with a schmabratory and a microscope. So it's been around for a very long time. Or schmime, I mean.
Look, my point is.
yeah, there's
Look, my point
yes.
is, does it make sense that they told us to stay home, stay safe, and enforce that rule. Does it? That the question is, does that make any sense?
I would say yes.
What?
Because as we have just stated, I mean, I obviously I appreciate your your concerns. Like they're all valid, 100%. It's just that as we heard, coronavirus had a very fast spread rate.
You mean the
Spread rate.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the
Sorry, yes.
Shmorona. It's a different virus altogether. The Shmorona.
Yes, I am sorry. But the thing is that I don't remember exactly who spoke it into existence, but there was somebody here that mentioned how it had a contact rate of or contraction rate of 9, which is one person can spread it to 9 people, which by definition under the HWO classifies it as
Shmendemic.
as a shmandemic.
Okay, if that's your definition of
And
a shmendemic, one second, it's fine. That's a definition. I don't have a problem. Then don't do a.
Now let's attack the data.
Don't do a.
So, Mr. Slave, you have here on the screen a graph that shows 7.951 billion people as of 2022. Now, I'm going to ask you a very open-ended question. How would a 7 million person death toll even show up on that graph?
That's my point. You're arguing my case. Thank you. Exactly.
It's not. So your data trying to demonstrate that the shmendemic didn't happen and that no one died is stupid, because you're looking at numbers so big. 7 million isn't even going to make a fucking dent. 140 million people are birthed each year, bro. Like, what are you talking? Like, there's no way you're actually using this data as evidence, bro. Trying to be scientific, but then you put on this like stick. It's just totally bad faith, bro, and you know it.
Wait, you're arguing for my position, and then you're telling me it's.
What's your position?
I'm telling
What's your
you.
position?
What?
What's the position, Mr. Slave?
Look at my position is look at the graph. Tell me where's the shmendemic.
Okay.
So you're telling me you're right.
Okay.
The shmendemic is from the HWO.
The shmendemic isn't on that graph, Mr. Slave. That is the answer.
That's my point. That's my proposition. So you're
okay.
So you can
yeah, it's not going to be in the graph because the death toll rate was only 7 million.
Exactly. That's my point. You're conceding. That's it.
Right.
Granting me everything.
So okay. I concede. So what's the conclusion from this that you're deriving from this? Okay, I concede. Okay. So what's the point that you're making? Like,
my point is that look, it depends on the definition. If you define a shmendemic that you don't care the influence on the size of the population. If you don't care about the size, scientifically speaking, you don't care about the size of the population. That's one definition of shmendemic. Then fine, it's a shmendemic. But if you look at it like you look at the Black Plague and other shmendemics, that
was an epidemic.
What? You
and Mr. Slave,
Nat corrected you right earlier. Said it was an epidemic because it was worse.
1 second. So I just want to get let's get the definition straight. So shmendemic, you don't count the total population. You don't care if there is an impact on the size of the population. Is that the definition of a shmendemic?
It's not that I don't care. It's just not going to show up on that graph. Like, I'm sure if the shmendemic had I don't know, let's say like a billion death toll rate. If it had a billion death toll rate, yeah, you would see it in that graph. 100%.
No, my question is definitions, not what. Of course, you would see bigger numbers. My question is definition. So if it doesn't show up on the graph, let me just ask. I'm just trying to get. I'm just trying to get the definition straight. So shmendemic. What's going on? You want to finish the sentence? What do you want to say?
I just
Well,
you're asking for a definition. I have one here from the CDC.
No, I'm not asking the CDC. I'm asking whoever I'm
No,
debating.
you're asking for a definition.
okay, I'm just gonna
You're-
ask before you say your definition, where are you sourcing this definition, or is it your own interpretation?
It's
No,
No, not
www.cdc.gov.
you, not you, Tony Baloney. I don't care, bro. I
Oh,
don't care. We're
I'm
arguing,
sorry.
Mr. Slave. Okay, Mr. Slave. Where are you sourcing your definitions,
I didn't.
and or is it just intuition and you just made it up?
I didn't. I didn't. I'm offering a definition. I'm trying to understand how you define
Okay,
it. I'm trying to understand your
okay.
position.
The
I have
CDC.
I have
This
how
we
we
define it by
define
the
it right here.
CDC,
I
like
don't.
the worldwide
I'm.
classification of it.
I'm
What are
trying to
you
understand.
sourcing your classification?
No, I'm trying to understand how you. I don't care about
Mr.
anyone
Flake.
else. I'm trying to
You sound very whiny right now. I don't know why you're dodging the
No, hold on.
question,
Record.
Mr. Slave. The question
Mr.
was,
Slave.
where are you sourcing this future definition that you're going to say? Where are you sourcing that, or is it intuition and that you made it up?
You are the source. I am trying to understand your definition. I'm just trying to restate your.
Okay, Mr. Slave. Retro before you interrupt here. All right, Mr.
Yeah,
Slave.
Baloney, say
You
your
want
definition.
What?
do you want to hear our definition of the word shmendemic, right?
I would rather ask a question instead of this back and forth.
Okay.
So is
Well,
your
Oh,
definition?
yeah.
Let me
Oh,
just
yeah.
ask. Let me just
Yeah,
ask.
I'm gonna give you our definition,
No,
Mr. Slade. I'm
no,
gonna give
just
you our
let me
definition.
ask. Let me
Okay, go
ask.
ahead and ask.
You
Go
did,
ahead and ask.
you did
Words,
ask. You did ask
words.
for a definition. We're going
I'm
to
not
answer the question,
asking.
Mr. Slave. We're going to answer your question.
I'm not asking for a definition. I'm asking if the following is the definition. Please let me finish a sentence. Is the
Go ahead.
following hold on. Is the following the correct definition? That you can say that Shmovid was a shmandemic by definition, even though it doesn't show up on the world population graph. True or false?
Yes,
True.
yes. The
Fantastic.
answer is yes.
Okay, one down. Next. So we said shmendemic. Now we're gonna say the what's the other word? The
Epidemic.
Movid? Epidemic?
epishmemic.
Epidemic?
The shmembi pepi.
Okay, the epidemic.
The shmendemic. The other word.
I'm gonna-
Does that show up on the graph by
wanna open up-
definition? Would that?
Yes, it would.
Oh, then we don't have a
By
disagreement.
the definition of
No.
ishmendic,
What?
it would. Yes, sir. It
Okay,
would. It would.
So the next question is, what was so for something that doesn't if the shmendemic doesn't show up on the graph, wouldn't it be true to say that claiming that the shmendemic happened is an unscientific claim?
No, that wouldn't be. So if you will, just indulge me for a second, right? I would like to read it because there are some clarification. Excuse me, there are some clarifying words here about what's the difference between a shmendemic and what an epishmendic is. So an the first one, the E one, is similar to an outbreak, but with a larger number of cases or occurring over a greater area. Where a shmendemic, like Shmovid, is an epidemic, an endemic, but even more widespread over several countries or continents. So technically speaking, the Shmovid shmandemic was, as we know now. Now it might sound stupid to say that it was worse than the Black Death, but technically speaking, it was, as it affected a greater area, affected multiple continents, whereas the Black Death only affected Europe. That's why it's classified as an endemic
Okay.
rather than an
All right. Listen.
shmendemic.
Okay. First, I have a new name, a new term. It's shmepidemic. That's the proper pronunciation.
Epidemic, correct.
Epidemic. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about the shmendemic, the 2019 shmendemic. So, scientifically speaking, I'm looking at the world population and I see no indication of a shmandemic? I see no
Because you're
explanation.
looking at the greater population. You're not looking at what the actual definition of a shmendemic is. You've come up with a definition of a
Fine.
shmendemic
So how?
that isn't
How? Okay.
right.
So how would you? On what graphs would you be able to show me the shmendemic? What graphs would?
There are no graphs to determine a shmendemic. A shmendemic is okay, as I've said right here, a shmendemic is like a shmepidemic, but it's even more widespread across greater areas, several countries, and continents.
No.
And or continents.
Look. I need it to be scientific.
So
I need it to be measured.
that is scientific. That's what the CDC says. The CDC.
I don't. Look. It's not important who says what. I just need, in order for it to be, in order for something to be scientific,
Uh-huh.
I need it to
Mhm.
be measurable. So I need a graph.
Yeah, sure. So for every person that gets Smovid, 9 other people get Smovid, and
Show
that
me a
was like
graph.
that was
Show me
true.
a
That was
graph.
true amongst pretty much the whole planet.
Show me a graph.
And
Show me a graph.
sir, I can tell you how it's measurable.
That's
right?
the raw data. That's the raw data.
So-
It had a considerable spreading rate per
Exactly.
infected, and this didn't change like within region or temperature
graph.
or.
And you know what?
anything.
I can show you the data, right? I
If
can show
anything,
you
if anything, like
it's,
amongst
it's-
four cultures and stuff, it's spread.
it's right there. It's the ratio of 1 to 9, or the ratio of 2 to 18.
Show me a graph. Show me a graph
So graphs
of the
for this because
of
it's
the
So a
pandemic.
graph.
So you agree
Okay,
that
hold on, Mr. Slave, right?
Yes.
Mr. Slave.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you know right now. A shmendemic is not like a fact of life, right? The definition is not a fact of life
Is
as
it
we know. Like
is it
laws
shmendemic?
of gravity, right?
Is it
Before you interrupt, let me
scientific?
finish, right?
Is it
Before you
shmendemic?
interrupt, let me
Yeah, I have
yes,
a graph.
it is.
I have a scientific graph that you can look up right now, Mr. Slave. COVID-19 death toll.
No, schmovid.
How about that?
And the thing is,
How about that?
Mr.
Oh! Why don't you want to look up the graph? Look up the graph real quick.
You have a.
Let's take a look at the graph.
So link it in the chat. The schmovid. You have a.
Oh, you can just search it up on Google. Just search it up. You type the world population there. Just type in graph
Just link
COVID-19 death
it.
toll rate.
Link it.
I don't need to.
Okay,
You have your Google open.
Slave,
You can literally
I
just
do
type
have
it
a
right now. Like,
Oh, you need to link. It's your.
Mr. Slave, I have a
don't-
question.
I mean,
for you, right?
I'll try to link like a Google search in the chat. I guess.
Okay.
I'll try to do that for you.
Hey,
Alright.
Mr. Slave, I have a question for you, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't consider Schmovid, a pandemic or a shmandemic, excuse me. I mean, do you consider it a shmandemic?
Look, as I said.
Okay, so
The
I just need a yes or no
definition.
answer.
No.
Do you consider it a shmandemic? Yes or no? No, I need to know your personal answer to
Is
this
your
question because
let me ask you, is your definition of a shmandemic, is it scientific?
yes,
Then show me if it's scientific, it should be measurable. I should be able to measure it.
it
Show
is
me
measurable,
then show me
but not by graph.
how is that possible?
Okay, listen.
How is that
The
possible?
flu, right? It spreads multiple. No. Let me finish. Right, the flu spreads multiple continents every year. By definition, a shmandemic. Schmovid
So the flu
traversed multiple continents in the span of months.
So the common flu is
Schmovid transferred multiple continents in the span of months. By definition, a shmandemic.
You're saying the common,
Okay, so that's how it's measurable. If it can transfer continents, or
you're saying the common flu is a shmandemic?
by definition, yes. Now it's not nearly as bad,
Then
right? It's not nearly as bad.
Define bad scientifically.
Okay, so as we know, the flu in Schmovid is like a super flu, right?
Why?
The flu is like the normal flu, and
Why would you say
and
that?
COVID and Schmovid is like a super flu. I
Why?
mean, that's the comparison I would imagine here.
What's your evidence for that? Why would you say that?
I don't have any evidence for the fact that it's a super flu, but
Is that a scientific
guess-
claim?
no. So
So-
let me. Okay, it's a very viral, very aggressive respiratory
what's
virus,
your
and that is
scientific evidence? You're just saying words.
I believe you can look it up. I believe the CDC and the HWO
No.
both mentioned the fact that it is in a very plus, not to mention, I believe, now I don't have the source right on me, but I do believe that if the contact or the contraction ratio is 1 to 9, I believe that's considered an aggressive disease. Not to mention the fact that it can traverse multiple continents in the span of months and infect multiple people like that. Not to mention severity of the symptoms and the illnesses that other people acquired or
Is
got
it
from
is it any
said
different than
disease.
the common flu?
Yes, it's
How?
a lot more aggressive than the common flu.
What do you mean it's more?
Not
What's
to
the
mention, it's
evidence?
also
What's
it
your
also mutates a lot faster.
what?
Mutates a lot
What's your
faster than the common
evidence? What's
flu.
your evidence for all these beautiful words? Show
I
me
don't have my
evidence.
evidence on me.
So you're just saying
You're asking
words.
what
Look,
my
look. That's
okay.
not how we do.
Okay, you know what? So you want proof, right? You want proof that the
Yes.
flu is a shmandemic. That's what you asked, right?
Look, you're making
By
claims.
definition.
Look,
No. Here, you know what? I will make a claim that I can back up with the very definition that I just told you about what a shmandemic is, right? And the evidence is that the infectious disease flu, right, can affect multiple continents, across the world every year.
the,
By definition, it's a shmandemic because of its ability to spread fast.
so the common
The flu can spread through
so
a simple handshake. I mean,
so the common flu
it.
so the common flu is the shmendemic, right?
I would, yeah, by definition,
That's
yes.
fine. That's fine. So how is schmovid different than the common flu?
It's not different from the common flu in the fact that it's also a shmendemic.
So why did you? So do you support the?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said the whole super flu stuff. Anyways, continue.
So do you support the reaction of the world governments in the?
Yes.
Why?
Well, okay. Sorry, I should say that there is something different between the flu and the Schmovid, and the fact is that we didn't know Schmovid existed until about 3 years ago, or sorry, 4 years ago at this point in time.
Need you
And because of
you
that,
need to provide evidence. Anytime you make a claim, you need to provide evidence.
so when was COVID? When was COVID found?
Oh, you
Oh,
mean
sorry, when was
schmovid?
Schmovid
We're
found?
not talking about that. We're talking about
Yeah,
schmo.
when was it found? Like when was it discovered?
I
Right? When
don't
was it
know.
discovered?
I
Since
don't know.
you don't know when Schmovid was discovered.
No,
But it's called Schmovid-19. So I can imagine from context clues, we could imagine it happened sometime around
I
2019 to
don't know.
2020. Can we
Don't.
agree on that?
No, I
You
don't
don't
know. I
know.
need evidence. You're looking at someone that wants evidence. I want evidence. I don't know. That's this. I
You
can
know
tell
what? I will just ask the Google. When was Schmovid found? December of 2019. It was found in China. So there you go. It's from you want the source too? It's from the NFID.org. So it's a organization. It's not a privatized news website. So there you go.
Didn't they?
From the NFID.
Didn't they later find it also that it already traveled in 2018 to other locations?
There's a possibility, but the current source I have from the NFID, the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, which is a very good source, by the way, claims that it was found in Wuhan in 2019 in December. So it was found in 2019, going into 2020, in Wuhan. So there's your answer. It's from the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, one of the greatest sources for infectious diseases. And there you go. There was, according to the Infectious Diseases Organization, there was no such mention of anything happening in 2018. It said it is, and the official found date or the official discovery date of Schmovid is December of 2019. So there's your source.
That's not a source. So how do you know?
It is a source.
No, it's not. How do they know that it wasn't around? How do we know that they that they tested in previous years? And this is what you're telling me is that they've been testing for.
Okay, well, where's your proof? Because if you're saying how do we know that they didn't test in previous years, then where's your source that they didn't, or where's your source that they did test in previous years?
I'm just
You're making the same claims that I'm making, and you're not backing them up with sources. I gave you a source like you wanted from the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases. That's a nonprofit organization. Now it may be for profit, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But to my knowledge, so far, it's a nonprofit organization that conducts research studies on infectious diseases. Where's your proof? Because you're saying that if you're saying how can we prove that they're not? If you're not gonna take a stance on that, then you're both sidings, which is arguing in bad faith.
No.
Because the thing is that if sir, you are. Are you going to take a stand and are you going to claim that they tested in previous years, or are you going to sit here and you're going to both sides or sit on the fence saying, well, what if, or what if, what aboutism? Like,
I don't
are you,
know.
are you,
I don't know. I don't know that they ever tested in previous years. Maybe they didn't. I mean, we need a
there you
source.
go. So,
We need
no, what you're doing is
negative.
it's what aboutism? Like, I gave you a source. That's a
You gave me,
globally
but now
accepted
you.
source.
That's
The
not
National
enough.
Foundation for
That's
Infectious
not
Diseases.
enough because I'm
It's a
claiming.
globally accepted source is not
I'm
enough.
claim. Wait a minute. I'm claiming.
You're okay. You're claiming. I want to hear your claim.
Right. So I'm claiming that the Schmovid was around since the beginning of time. Now you prove that I'm wrong.
Okay.
What's your evidence that I'm wrong?
Where's your evidence that you're right? You made a claim. You have to back up your proof.
But
No. You see, I'm on the defense side, right? It's not my job to prove myself innocent. It's your job to prove me guilty, right? That's what this whole thing is about. You are
okay.
asking
So
me
I'll
to prove to
rephrase.
you. You're begging the question.
No.
Right? No, listen. You're begging the question for me to give you a source saying that Schmovid didn't exist until 2019. Well, we don't know that. Nobody knows that. But you're making a claim that Schmovid existed since the beginning of time, and I want to know where your proof is, because you can't just ask me to disprove your claim without you giving any sort of evidence for me to argue. Like that's I can make a claim that there's people on the sun, and your job is to disprove that there's people on the sun. How can you do that? Well, you can't, because there's no evidence, and I gave no evidence there's people on the sun. So this
Hey.
is the same sort of argument
Rigatoni.
that I've seen from people.
Hey, Rigatoni, I'm fucking walking here.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Rigatoni, you gotta let me speak. You hog the mic for long spans.
Yeah, Rigatoni,
I'm
you
not
gotta let the
forbidding
man
you.
speak. Let the man speak. The man wants to
I
talk.
will let you speak when you give me a source to argue.
Kozel, could you
Listen, Rigatoni,
Kozel?
you sound like you're speaking a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Oh no,
All right.
Kozel, I'm gonna mute you if you continue like this. We're in the middle of a debate.
Excuse me, I'm fucking walking here. I'm the man, all right? I'm the man.
I'm gonna mute.
The man talks when he wants to talk.
Then I'll mute you.
Oh yeah, what are you gonna do in real life when I'm next to you, huh?
Oh
I'm gonna slug your jaw, spin your chin.
God. All right.
Alrighty, Mister, give me your claim and give me your evidence, please.
No, I said fine, I'll retract, I'll rephrase, and I'll say I honestly don't know. I don't know if the Schmovid is new or it's old. So since they only tested, as far as I know, in 2019, I never heard that they tested for these things before. So if you know that they tested for these things before, then I need to see negative results that they never saw this before.
It the proof that they never saw this before was the fact that the National Foundation, which might remind you again, and the World Health Organization, both once again, and not to mention the CDC, which is also once again, all three of those are globally accepted sources for infectious disease information. Both claim that they had never found. No, I'm telling you this right now.
No, you're not.
They
Listen to my
okay,
question.
listen, there is uh-huh.
Listen. Look, I'm open-minded. This is not critical. I don't care so much if Schmovid is new or old. Of course, it would make much more sense that it's been around since the beginning of time. I mean, Schmovid, the way I understand it, it could not have suddenly evolved to recognize the human system and be able to fit and attack it so perfectly. So that's not. I mean, these systems are so complex that that's not likely.
Uh-huh.
So of course it had to be around
Yeah.
since the beginning of time. It has to follow the evolution of humanity step by step, and it has had to be attacking humans since the beginning of time. That makes sense to me. To claim that it's what suddenly evolved or suddenly came out of it doesn't even make sense that it came out of the wilderness.
Well, I'm not claiming that. You asked me to prove,
It does.
that it wasn't around before, and I'm just telling you is that
It
as
wouldn't
far as
make
we know, it wasn't around
it
until
wouldn't make any
2019.
sense. Look, it does. Look, it doesn't make any sense. And my claim would be that they never tested as meticulously as they did in 2019. They never tested this before, so that's my claim. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm being like a devil's
I mean,
advocate. Like in my
sure,
intuition
and
is my intuition is of course it's been around. Of course it's been with us all these billions of years. Of course. I don't.
mhm.
Did it would so anyway? But that's not even my main contention. That's like a side contention. It's not even right. They call it. They said it's a new. They have Nova. It's a novel. They said it's a novel virus. That's impossible. That wouldn't. That's like that's a contradiction to the theory of evolution, basically. The way I see it.
Mhm. There were some speculations that maybe China had made it in a lab, and to be honest, that's a very real possibility. I mean,
No,
ultimately, we don't
very.
know. I mean,
Would not make any
China
sense.
China has been known to create diseases, and I believe China had somehow created no.
It
I'm not gonna
that
make an
makes
official claim. I'm
that
just
Why
saying
would
I
they
believe
fuck
I've
with
heard.
like
it
the
makes no
global trade
sense. It
and
makes no
shit?
the theory
I mean,
they call this the
are we really
human
gonna put on
lab
pretty
lab leak
okay,
theory.
the official story for COVID,
What?
right, was that it had infected animals first, and mainly bats. I believe that's what it was. It
That
was
makes
bats,
that makes
and
no sense.
China had ate a bat.
That makes,
I'm just telling you the official quote, the quoted official story
look
of how COVID
these
started is
things.
that somebody ate a bat, they contracted COVID-19. Sorry, Schmovid. Excuse me, I forgot
Look,
about that.
okay, it's a side point. This is really a side point. It's not the essence. The essence is that your definition of a shmandemic is unscientific because I cannot see
No,
it.
it's scientific.
Look, the way I
You cannot.
understand the way I understand
Mhm.
science is something I can test, I can measure, I can put it on a graph and see it clearly. It has to be statistically significant. It has to jump at you. Like when you see how they discovered the Higgs.
I can make contradictions on that point right now. What about space? The amount of information that we know about space is if you took somebody. Now, this is an analogy, right? So the amount of information that we know about space in general, right, is if you hid somebody away for 20 years and you know you shelter them from the outside world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after 20 years, you give them a cup of water from the ocean. And you tell them to tell us everything about the ocean. That's how much we know about space.
What do you mean space?
I mean, how much we know about space is a single cup's worth equivalent of ocean water. I mean, that's the analogy,
You mean
right? So if we don't know stuff about space, but yet we have these almost scientifically, we have these scientific theories, right?
what,
How is that possible? Is it not scientific?
wait,
Then,
wait.
you know,
I'm not
I mean,
I'm
like,
not following.
look at well,
You lost me.
let me tell you. Right? Okay, sorry, right. Let me start over. I can prove a contradiction to the point of if something is not scientific, if something is not scientific.
Wait, what happened?
If we can study something with science, that means you can see it. Means you can make a graph, which means you can make a trend and whatnot, and blah 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 blah. I mean, is that your point? Is that your claim?
It's got to be statistically significant on the graph.
And
What?
on a graph, right?
It has to be
Well, we don't know much
as a
about.
phenomenon.
So we don't know much about it.
What do you mean?
Okay.
I don't
The
understand.
thing is, right, is that we don't know much about black holes, right? But yet we can still make inferences. And generally speaking, the research that these people have done, the scientific research that these people have done on black holes have really no merit to them. I mean, these are just people thinking at this point. I mean, because we are nowhere near and close enough to a black hole to actually do any sort of scientific studies or actually make any sort of graphs or points or trends or data points or anything of the sort.
No, no, no.
That's I mean, that's
No,
the
no.
thing,
I
right?
I
Is if
happen
we're
to be I
if you're
happen
talking about something,
no. I happen to have many videos about black hole formation. I'm sort of an expert in black hole formation in
oh, I am
general.
too. But
So
at the same time, we don't know black holes are formed. I mean, that's
no, that's not no. You're not an expert. You're just regurgitating what the talking heads. That's not being an expert. Well, we can have a discussion
dude,
about.
I love space.
I
Right? I'm a space fanatic, just like you. Right? I believe I'm playing the devil's advocate, just like you were. Right? I believe that the way that what science has said about how black holes are formed, I believe that's 100% the truth. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we haven't witnessed a black hole being formed. We don't know how it truly is formed.
no,
This is just theory. We
no,
don't have any data points on this, dude.
no. That's not true.
If you have any data points on that can be physically tested here on Earth or physically seen with our eyes or on a data or on a graph, I would love to see it. But ultimately speaking, we have never seen how a
Yes,
black
we
hole is
have.
formed.
Yes, we have.
Have
Every
we?
time, of
Have we?
course, of course. There's been supernovas
Uh,
that we saw, and
mhm.
the star, the star disappeared, and we.
Okay, yeah,
That's
it could have also become a white dwarf. It could have become a neutron star. We could just the thing is that there's so many different possibilities. Hell, that star could have turned into a foot for all we know of, and obviously
wait,
that's just taking the
Rigatoni,
piss. Right?
look,
Mhm.
Rigatoni, look. Science,
Go ahead.
science is about, and it's got to be measurable, and it's got to be statistically significant, so that when I draw it on a curve on a graph, I have to see the kink in the graph, and I have to recognize it, and it has to be repeatable. It has to be clear.
Mhm.
Then it's scientific. I have to be able to
Yeah.
notice it on a graph. And your definition of a shmandemic is unnoticeable on a graph, which makes it unscientific.
I just disagree with you because the thing is that I if we're gonna say right that everything has to be on a graph because I that's what I'm inferring, right, is that in order for something to be scientific you must be able to see it on a graph,
Of
right? But
course.
there's
I'm gonna
plenty
make
of
a
other
note.
things that is scientifically, I'm going to point back to a black hole, right? Like you claim that we've seen black holes form, and I believe that we have, right? But again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. But the thing is that we haven't seen it with our naked eye,
What do you mean?
right? If we
We have.
stars back in 1978. No, we haven't. Your evidence for the fact that we've seen a black hole form is that a star exploded and now it's no longer there.
Let me say
That's
something.
not enough evidence.
Wait,
Dude.
wait. No. Hold on. So, as part of the theory of black holes, scientists make
Mhm.
predictions that when you have a supernova, then if it's a supernova, that means the star is big enough. Then you end up with a black hole. And as far as I know, we have witnessed. I'm
Supernova could
not
also
sure.
turn into a white dwarf.
Excuse me.
Into a white dwarf if
Uh,
it's a small enough star.
your
It could turn into a
connection,
neutron star if it's
your
big
connection,
enough.
your connection is very bad. I keep losing half sentences.
Well, we're losing everybody.
Why? What happened?
All
I
right, are
don't
you
know.
able to hear me clearly again or
Yeah,
no?
We're the Donner
Okay.
Party.
yeah.
So the thing is that there, if your evidence is that a star exploded in the sky and now we don't see it, well, that star obviously it was big. I mean, if we could see it in the night sky, it was a pretty big star.
Mm-hmm. No,
But ultimately speaking, a star.
no.
Okay, a star.
No.
Before you interrupt, a star can turn into many things,
No.
not just a black hole. star turns into a black hole. Because if that's how the world works, then the world would
Anyway,
be very
look,
grim.
okay, look. I
One
don't
star
want
at
to
a
turn
time.
this.
I
I don't
got
want to turn this discussion into black hole formation discussion. That should be a separate discussion. I asked for your friend.
I
have
know,
an
but what I'm
interesting question.
Yes.
but
Do
like
you
that's
Wait.
that's part of my point.
Wait,
What
Right.
about we just shift away from this? Because this feels like you two are just like in your collective circles and you're not moving. Do you guys
No, what
think the
what I'm trying to
universe
do
is a living organism? Because I think that'd be interesting, considering this is a vegan server.
Well, the reason I was using black holes is because that's something that we both like, right? I'm using something to connect,
Yeah.
something that we both understand pretty well.
It feels
right?
though
That-
like you guys aren't making any like
Yeah.
I get it. But
discussion.
well, I'm trying to get to it.
No,
I'm
no.
trying to get to it.
Tony, listen. Let's finish up. Let's, if you want to have concluding remarks on the shmandemic and the shmonbona, and then I'll take the question from X Karakala, and we'll see.
Well, the thing is, right? The thing is, right,
Hmm.
is that you were saying that in order for something to be scientific, it must be repeatable. You must be able to see it on a chart, see it on a graph. You know, that's what you said, pretty much. I would imagine.
Hmm.
That's what I inferred.
Yeah.
That's what I gleaned.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now that that is not entirely true. That's not entirely true at all in the slightest. I mean, 90. I wouldn't say any specific number, but I would say a good part of science was we did something, we speculated, and then we did it again. And so if it's unscientifical or if it's unscientific, then why do they keep going? Why do they do it again? But that's off topic. Let me go back to my point, right? In black hole formation. Now, I don't want to get sidetracked or do anything of that nature. I just want to tell you, right, is that your evidence, right, for a black hole. Now, I don't know if you have evidence or evidence disputing this, but from what I gleaned and from what you said is that your evidence for a black hole is a star was there, it exploded, and now it's. And I'm just saying is that could mean 20 different other things. That could mean so many other things. We don't know 100% what that is. Sure, it was repeatable in some areas, but not nearly enough to be scientific in your definition. That's what I'm saying.
That's fine. I'll take that as concluding remarks.
Is it something like it's a theory but it hasn't been proven? Or
Exactly.
like yeah.
It's a supposed theory that we use math and whatnot to calculate this. But according to him, in order for it to be scientific, it must be repeatable. It must be able to be charted and graphed and be able to spot any differences in that. And I'm telling, and the thing is that when you're debating what a shmendemic and what a shmepidemic is, right? You're debating definitions because like I said, the flu is a shmendemic because of its ability to spread and the fact that it spreads to other continents very quickly. By definition, that's what a shmendemic is.
Look,
Now, it doesn't mean numbers, right? A shmendemic doesn't just mean numbers. It means it means 20 other things other than just numbers.
mhm.
Sure, numbers play a big part in that, right? Because if it's one person that gets sick from some mystery illness and then they fly to Asia and then somebody from Asia gets sick with mystery illness, then it's by no means is it a shmendemic,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But
all right. Yeah, we're repeating ourselves. I think I think we did a good job. I think I understand your position. You understand mine. Our disagreement ends up being on the definition of science, which is fine. That's good. So, Xcar Kala, what was your question? What was your suggestion for the next vegan topic?
What if the universe is a living organism? Like a
do
giant
appreciate
mushroom
you
or
guys,
something.
but I do think I'm gonna head over into the virtual versus predator room just to see what they're talking
I
about.
sent you a friend request,
All right.
so we'll be in touch.
I got that.
All right, we'll see you. Bye.
I'll see you later, man.
I'll see you later, man. Thank you. Bye. So, X Karakala, you're wondering if the universe is a living organism?
Yeah. Like a mushroom or a tree.
Yeah,
God forbid it's like an actual animal. That'd be horrible.
yeah, but there's no. What's your evidence for that?
I don't know. I'm not trying to debate anything. I'm just
Fine.
throwing it out there in case
I'm-
anyone wants to debate.
It's fine. I mean, anytime you talk to a person, I mean, that's a debate. I'm not looking to win or lose.
I mean, it's a discussion of ideas, like a dialectic, but a dialectic doesn't imply necessarily
Yes, but
there's conflict.
no, there's no conflict. But I want every discussion that I'm having to be as scientific as possible. So whatever your disillusion is about the universe, if you can reframe it as a scientific proposition, I think you'll do yourself a favor. So the first question,
How do you? What about we instead of? Well, why don't we just get it to like a classical philosophical question
Mhm.
that was thrown around in the East and then traveled west
Mhm.
during the Enlightenment and even before that?
Mhm.
So Hegel thought
Mhm.
the true nature of reality is essentially like you can't define it. It's just spiritual. So
Okay.
what that means is there's he tried to combine the idea of forms with Aristotle's ideas of everything kind of being here on the ground to finding something that is uh flowing and in harmony and that goes forward and eventually finds what's the word I was looking for?
It doesn't matter. Look, everything you said from the word Hegel on is senseless. It's unscientific. So I don't understand any.
Hegel is extremely scientific.
What?
Hegel, the foundations for science.
I don't know what that even means. The foundation of science? I don't know what it.
Like the foundation, like he built the blocks that led to science, like empiricism and all that. And then Kant came by and went, "Well, how do you really know anything?" And then everyone ignored him because he's kind of a silly goose.
I don't know.
But yeah, like the debate right now is whether, like, one second.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
What we what we eventually want to know is can we know can let me send you a meme.
Hmm. In the side chat.
So essentially there's like two schools of thought
Where's the
in in like the German idealist thought, which is can we know everything versus there's nothing to know. And the answer is kind of like we're leaning towards yes. And psychology is being moved out of being an exact science and it's being replaced by philosophy. And then the meme is I don't have image burns. I don't have image burns. Damn.
You don't have image. You cannot.
Uh,
You cannot place a link. No, just a link. You cannot. They don't let you place a link. In
Okay,
the side
it's a
chat?
Reddit link. So
Well, let's see. Maybe
I tried posting a link too, and
it's.
earlier that did not work.
Mm,
Let me see. Uh, okay, it worked. It doesn't work. You know what? I'll DM you since we're friends.
mhm.
So the question is, do you think like well the define to know everything's a bit strange, but can we know everything within uh, a certain closed system? Can we like predict the future or something? And the answer is I don't know, maybe. But that seems like a catch 22.
That's
Uh
that's an interesting meme. That's an interesting meme. So they like have every concept in from all of history.
this
That's very interesting. That's not what Marx used to look like. Marx did not look like that. We know what Marx.
No, it's a different. It's like a meme and planted on another meme.
I see. Yeah, Trump doesn't look like that. So yeah, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they equated Trump to Marx.
Yeah, Trump
So
sort of Marxian. Look, everything you said from the word Hegel is unscientific. So I don't know how to react to it. Like you,
what do you mean by scientific?
scientific, testable, measurable, repeatable.
Well, Hegel definitely said there are some things like forms and essence we can measure in the universe,
I don't know.
but he never said that they're supposed to essentially, you know, what's it called?
I don't know what you mean by forms nor by essence. These words sound like unscientific words.
Well, he was trying to describe a few things together. So forms are perfect, eternal, and chainless concepts that exist outside of space and time. They're forever. It's like a quark or an atom.
That's not outside of space.
Even
A quark and an atom are not outside space and time.
well, okay, maybe not those things, but like there's like perfect, eternal, and changeless concepts which exist outside of space and time. So like
Not, by
I don't
definition,
what would
by definition of science, anything outside of space and time is unscientific. So I don't know how to treat it. I have to ignore it.
Well, during that time they were still thinking in terms of like the heavenly spheres and they believed everything was on ground on earth.
The
So
heavenly
we kind of have to
the heavenly spheres they used to believe are physical constructs. They used to believe that there were spheres. The Earth was surrounded by spheres and made out of glass, and on each glass sphere, the heavenly bodies were embedded. So the first sphere had the moon embedded on it, and the second sphere had the sun embedded on it, and the third sphere had Mars embedded, and all the planets were embedded on these separate spheres, and the final spheres had all the stars, the rest of the heavenly bodies embedded on it, and these spheres were
well,
rotating.
yeah,
And these and
we have to agree that we don't know exactly what they were saying during the time because it was so long ago.
What do you mean? It's the ancient theory. We have models. What do you mean? There's paintings. Of course we know exactly how they used to see the universe.
It was a long time ago. Like
Doesn't matter. We have
as complicated as the world is now, and how something can mean like 100 things to 100 different people. Those things meant different things to different people.
This was their astrophysiological model of the universe, and it works. It's only the problem starts with like the planets. So the word planet just means like a homeless guy, like because the planets never followed a circular path around the Earth. Because when you look at Mars, suddenly in the middle of its rotation around Earth, it stops, moves back, and then continues moving forward. And each one of the planets did that. So that's why they were disillusioned with this model, and then they created a better they created a better model that had cycles built on cycles. I forgot the name of the cycles on the cycles, and that worked even better. But then Galileo looked through the telescope and he saw that Jupiter has many moons. And once he saw that, he said, "Oh no, 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 no! This is going to way overcomplicate the epicycle model." So then he said, "You know, a simpler model." I think he said it, or he just noticed it. I don't know if he reacted, but he noticed that Jupiter has moons. And later, I think Copernicus, I think, came to the conclusion that the sun centric model solves the problem of the planets. Anyway, but at any point this was good science. Everybody was practicing good science. They were measuring and testing and predicting and coming up with new theories and fixing their theories, everything. So, I mean, everything you can say about the ancients, they were scientific. Even before science was invented, they were being very scientific. So there's no, so what Hegel is saying, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like philosophy. It doesn't sound like science. And I tend to ignore philosophy.
Well, I mean, one of the top philosophy schools is like also one of the top science schools.
I,
You know,
which is it?
like they use
What's the name of the school?
what's the one in Boston called? Uh,
MIT?
either them or Harvard. One of them is very good at philosophy, and that tells me philosophy is more of an exact science than you think. Because again, like
If
we
philosophy
kind of went at,
if philosophy is an exact science, then I'm that part of philosophy. I'm all for. So physics is it used to be called natural philosophy. What we call sciences today, that was natural philosophy. They split the world in two philosophies: natural philosophy and I guess unnatural philosophy. That was maybe math and geometry. But I put everything under natural philosophy. For me, if you can place it under natural philosophy, then I accept it. If it's not natural philosophy, I reject it. So I put math. Hmm.
I sort of want to know what camp you're behind though. So
What?
let me describe his. I want to know what camp you're behind in this meme though. So
What?
let me just
Behind
describe the behind.
behind what?
God, I want to see what camp you're behind. Are you behind the Kantians or the Hegelians?
No,
Like which? Like
I'm I'm
because
I'm
they still imply like a certain
I'm
worldview.
so you could say I'm very Popperian. I follow Karl Popper's definition of science very, very strictly. But also what is called an objectivist. It's a terrible name, but that's like the philosophy of Ayn Rand.
I mean,
So I follow that, but I've evolved beyond, I think, Ayn Rand. So I developed my own, but she's the closest one to where I'm at.
well, this does go off. Karl Popper probably was very. Um, I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now. I imagine he was very well acquainted with Immanuel Kant.
I don't.
Following from Kant, he rejected the empiricist view that basic statements are infallible. Rather, according to Popper, they are descriptions in relation to a theoretical framework.
I don't know.
So, I guess like you're somewhere in between if you're going off what Popper says, or he's saying like maybe we can never know truly everything, but we can like or
Yeah,
we
exactly,
can never know empirical
exactly,
found or
exactly, exactly.
okay.
We don't have access to objective knowledge, but we can aim for knowing objective knowledge. But we can never.
And
Mhm.
what this meme sort of says is we're kind of at the point where we might be able to get to knowing true empirical knowledge.
Mhm.
And however, some of the things I hear you say, you kind of reject it because you know you don't think black holes are capable of seeing formation. It's a theory.
I'm,
Uh,
I study black holes more than anything else. In my free time, I'm always studying black holes and quantum physics. So what's the question?
I don't know. Like I always try and like find out like from like smart people whether they're like on the Kantian side or the Hegelian side.
Well,
And you're the first person I've seen who's just like smack dab in the middle.
I don't know either one. I honestly don't know what either one said. The little that you quoted from Hegel is nonsense. So you want to try Kant?
So Kant basically critiqued pure reason. I haven't read any of his works because they're incredibly difficult to read.
No, that's good.
But
I critique reason all the time. Reason, we need to know the limits of reason. That's good. Yeah, sounds good.
but again, Karl Popper is extremely familiar from him, and he follows from his definition: critical rationalism. And he rejected empiricism, and he says basically, uh,
I don't reject
know,
empiricism. I like empiricism very much.
the empiricist view that statements, basic statements, are invaluable or infallible. Instead, he says,
Nothing is
according to a
infallible.
theory,
Nothing is infallible, and the incompleteness theorem basically restates that nothing is infallible. There are no complete systems. All systems must be incomplete. So even the statement 1 plus 1
but
equals 2 is an incomplete statement. Meaning you cannot say that it's true or false. Or even if you say 1 plus 1 equals 2 is a true statement, it's an incomplete statement. It's not a perfect
have you
statement.
seen JRE Terrence Howard?
No. Oh, wait,
The-
Terrence Howard?
yeah.
I saw a little bit of. No, that's nonsense. He's completely.
I think it's nonsense, but like it's very eye-opening nonsense
No,
because he implies in like open systems
no,
things are more chaotic
no,
than are seemingly
no, no. I did.
can be.
No. I listened to him and I learned nothing from anything of what he said. Nothing.
I thought he was inspirational. I thought he was an
No,
idiot, but I thought he was like
no,
so inspirational.
no. I didn't. I was not inspired by anything about him. Not inspirational at all.
I mean, like he's trying to have fun with it. Like at
No,
least you can like
no.
give him that.
He's not even having fun. He never smiles. He's always upset. He talks about conspiracies and the scientific industrial complex type of worldview. I agree. I I also hate the elite scientists, but just going around saying how much you hate them and then saying utter nonsense to disprove of them, to disprove them, that's ridiculous. I mean, you're doing their job. I mean, they're trying to be elites, and you're saying I'm smarter than you. 1 plus 1 is 3. Congratulations, you're an idiot. So you're proving that you're an idiot. You're proving that anyone who goes up against the elites is an idiot. So he is strengthening the scientific elites, which is terrible.
So you believe in a hierarchy
No,
in
I'm
in your thought.
I'm against the scientific elite. I view the science industrial complex exactly like a church. It's part of the
I
government.
was in a lecture recently. I
What?
was in a lecture recently about we were talking about Marx and Hegel,
Mhm.
and essentially they said late capitalism essentially creates power dynamics, power hierarchies, where the people at the top they don't necessarily do all the work or any of the work. They're just built upon like the people beneath them, and it creates like pyramid structures. Uh,
No, no.
and I'm hard pressed to disagree with that.
Yeah, yeah. Marx was an idiot. Marx was an idiot. He said everything that he said was incorrect. Basically everything was. Complete mess. Just a complete mess. Um,
I think people have used his words and like
no,
tried to
no.
use
He wrote
automation as too
no.
much of a
No, he wrote the Communist Manifest. So he is an idiot. I mean, he's the little child.
So you think everyone isn't entitled to their work? Or what exactly about his like schema do you find idiotic?
I mean, the Communist Manifesto says basically workers unite. So that's okay. If you want workers to unite, then you have to allow factories and business owners to unite. But the way the world works is that we allow workers to unite, that's called a union. But if businesses unite, that's called a cartel, and everybody goes to jail. So that's ridiculous. If you allow people
I
to
read an interesting book lately. I
what?
read an interesting book that said cartels aren't real.
Which cartel?
They're just small.
Which
No. Like actual cartels,
business? Not business,
like
like drug cartels.
drug cartels. Yeah,
What do you mean they're not real?
they said the book basically says they just use the cartel name so they can like I don't know how to describe it. I if I knew more about like business, I tell you the word, but they just use them like DHL, like a glorified DHL, where they like plug into them and use them to ship their drugs. But ultimately, the people who make the drugs are like individual like rings, like individual like little houses, and they make the drugs and then they ship them there.
I'm
And yeah,
I'm pro drugs. The war on drugs creates the problems. I'm an anarchist, so the law itself is the problem. If you just allowed everyone to murder everyone, then everyone would be terrified of everyone and you have peace. Anyway, I gotta go. Thank you for hanging out. Let me make you a
it's nice talking to you.
yeah. Let me just send you a friend request. Oh, we're
We're friends already.
oh, good. Good. All right, man. I'm gonna go now. Take it easy.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye. That's that. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you very much for watching me debate about the shmandemic and about a little bit of black holes and about a little bit of philosophy and the history of philosophy and Hegel and Kant and Marx and Ayn Rand, objectivism. It was an interesting talk. Okay, I'm gonna go now because I have to kill myself. So I'll see you next time. Bye bye.